great take. That coming up in about 40 minutes. Why is it such a great take? Because word for word, it's basically what I said on the show 2 days ago. We'll do that then. Joy Taylor, though, before we get into our main topic of the hour, Joy Taylor's here with us, of course. Joy, by the way, America, my takes today have either been so spot on or so irrational, they're making Joy Taylor's eyes twitch. That's a true issue she's dealing with. Are you okay, Joy? Do I need to cool down the takes a bit? I'm worried about your health. They're making your eyes twitch.
My eye will not stop twitching. I mean, I just assumed I should ask Twitter because as I learned through 2020, all of the doctors that I should have been asking for medical advice for are all on Twitter. You know, they know how to handle pandemics. Yep. You know, it's remarkable.
Yeah,
the
they're all
medical
epidemiologists.
Information, available on Twitter. So I figured that's where I should go for medical advice. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with my eye. It won't stop twitching. And I'm getting sleep. Like I feel healthy. I don't know.
All right, America, listen, at Joy Taylor Talks, but you need to include a picture of your medical degree. Please help Joy's eye. Do you think I want to talk about Deshaun Watson in a moment, but folks get mad at me. They're like, Nick, you're a homer. Nick, is enough about the Chiefs. And my answer is, they're kind of the best. They're defending champs. They got all these awesome players. They seem fun to talk about. Do you think I was a little over the top with the Hill and Kelsey best receiving duo potentially of all time? Or do you see the path because if people weren't watching, I said they're on the path to being the most prolific receiving duo ever. And people think Carter Moss, Holt Bruce, Swan Stallworth. Do you think there's a case to be made that they could get there?
They could get there. They're not there yet. They could get there. I think you are predisposed to looking at everything from a Chiefs perspective. Therefore, you come up with these ideas, whereas other people may not. So that can't be attributed to, you being a Chiefs fan and from Kansas City. That's fair to say, I think, Nick. But you're not wrong. They could get there. There's potential.
Well, now you're making my eye twitch because the Deshaun Watson story, Joy, believe it or not, the reason why this is such a terrible disaster for the Texans actually has to do with Patrick Mahomes. It's another Chiefs perspective. Follow me along this path for a moment. If you are in the AFC right now, the question you have to ask yourself is this: can my quarterback go head-to-head with Patrick Mahomes and beat him? And here is the full list of quarterbacks who have beaten Patrick Mahomes in his career. Tom Brady, he's done it twice. Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, Russ, Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Tannehill, and Derek Carr, and Deshaun Watson. So there are your 5 best young quarterbacks other than Mahomes in the AFC. Josh Allen's played him twice, lost both times. Baker's played him twice, lost both times. Lamar's played him 3 times, lost all 3. Justin Herbert played him just once, but to be fair, is 0-1. Deshaun has beaten him. Now, he's also lost to him in the playoffs. That wasn't Deshaun's fault. They scored 31 points in that game. Defense couldn't get a stop. The whole idea, if you are running a team right now, especially if you're in the AFC, you have to ask yourself, can our quarterback beat Patrick Mahomes? And teams in the AFC, the only teams who can say, yes, I know he can because he's done it. The Raiders, because Derek Carr's done it, but Derek Carr's also lost to him literally a half dozen times, so I don't know if they feel great about it. I guess the Colts, because Jacoby Brissett beat him in the weirdest game Patrick Mahomes ever played, the one bad game of his entire career, 19-13, when Mahomes had a sprained ankle a year ago. Phillip Rivers is retiring. Ryan Tannehill, I guess the Titans would say, we can beat him. They beat him in his first game back from the dislocated kneecap. And Deshaun Watson, which is why it is, we talked to Jimmy Johnson on First Things First this morning, and he said that after his first year in Dallas, Troy was mad at him because he was splitting time with Steve Walsh. And that Jimmy went to Troy's house in the offseason, installed an exotic fish tank, and they bonded together. And that was the advice he had for David Culley and the Texans. The problem for the Texans is it seems like the owner, Cal McNair, inexplicably, without explanation, that would be inexplicably. That's literally the definition of the word. Probably didn't need to say that. But without explanation, has chosen Jack Easterby cosplaying Tony Robbins over Deshaun Watson. And that is the type of franchise-altering mistake that you don't recover from. And I wish David Culley nothing but the best, especially a guy who's waited as long as he's waited. But I think one of the reasons that, and this is going to sound like it's a shot at Culley, it's not intended to be, because while his, the right side of his Wikipedia page doesn't look like somebody who's going to be an NFL head coach, he has a lot of very important and very accomplished people vouching for his football credentials. But I think it's fair to say he wasn't a prime A1 candidate. And the reason you be the first team to have a coach opening and you end up hiring David Culley, I think is because the league has determined Deshaun's not going to be there. And it's just an epic screw-up because he's the only young quarterback in the conference that can say, oh yeah, I went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and won. I know how to do that. Played him in a playoff game, scored 31 points. Now, of course, they lost that game 51-31, but still, beat him in the regular season in Arrowhead, and you're going to let that guy walk out the door. It's just a remarkable franchise-altering mistake that I don't totally understand. I do understand why Tom Brady might still be a little salty towards his end in New England. I don't know if this is an intentional shot at Bill Belichick, but I do know it will be viewed as a shot at Bill Belichick. Here's Tom Brady talking about Bruce Arians.
He's a great leader. He's a great person. He's, a great friend. He's very loyal. He's just got a great way about communicating effectively with everybody around here. And everybody has a great affection for him, for the person he is. There's nobody that ever would say anything bad about BA. He's so endearing to everybody. And I think everyone wants to win for him.
Okay, so I don't think it's, just a out of nowhere media creation to say Tom Brady used a lot of descriptive words there that are not necessarily the descriptors you would associate with Bill Belichick. Endearing, such a great communicator, and the one that I think people are going to, grab onto, the one that we have on the screen, very loyal. And by the way, I love Arians. I think he's an awesome coach. I think the way he has filled out his staff, understanding his responsibility to try to give a lot of people opportunities and to try to almost single-handedly help some of the NFL's diversity issues in coaching is incredibly commendable, and people seem to love him. So none of this is a shot at Bruce Arians. But I also think we can't be total prisoners of the moment and act like Bill Belichick's very calculated lack of loyalty to players isn't something that benefited Tom Brady immensely for 20 years. Belichick's cold and calculated approach helped Brady get to 9 Super Bowls, helped Brady win 6 of them. The first Super Bowl Tom Brady ever played in, he threw for 150 yards and his team scored 20 points. The last Super Bowl Tom Brady played in before this one, he threw for 250 yards, no touchdowns, a pick, and his team scored 13 points. And they won both of them. Those 2 directly because of Belichick's defense and the overall roster that Belichick put together. Now, Brady right now obviously has the bragging rights. They split up. He's thriving. Belichick's out of the playoffs. And I said on this show on Wednesday that all of a sudden it does seem like Belichick needs at least one more sustained playoff run, or else people are going to say, he's a great, great coach, maybe the greatest ever, but what'd he do without Tom? all that's fair. And I mean, I think all that is true. But what's also true is you don't win 6 Super Bowls and go to 9 without Belichick. That Belichick's ability to be emotionally detached from players was great for Tom. Now, nobody likes that when it applies to them, but that is a massive part of the Patriots' success. So I don't know that he's taking a direct shot at Belichick, and I don't blame him for, at this point in his career, wanting something different. But we're going to have the GOAT conversation over the next week, and assuming the Chiefs win, and I assume they will, we're going to really have it over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Mahomes and Brady. Deep down, what everyone acknowledges is, and we're going to talk more about this later in the show with Tony Romo's quote, there's not actually anything Tom Brady, from an eye test wise, is better at than Patrick Mahomes. The reason he's the GOAT and no one else is even in the discussion is because of the wins, because of the Super Bowl appearances, because of the conference championship appearances, because of the 6 rings. Belichick's lack of loyalty is a major, major factor that has led to Brady being Brady. So while maybe at the end he didn't love it, part of the reason Tom Brady is Tom Brady is because of that very trait that now you look back on not so fondly if you're Tom Brady, because